Welcome to The Story Behind the Artist, the podcast that goes beyond the surface of permanent makeup to explore the people behind the industry, the ones building it, reshaping it, and sometimes rebuilding themselves along the way. Whether you're chasing growth, navigating pressure, or questioning what success really looks like, this is where we unpack the stories that don't make it onto social media. Today's guest is someone who didn't grow up with a clear plan, but she did grow up with questions. Questions like, what if it's not enough? Questions about what more could look like. From leaving home and learning independence early, to building a brand from a tiny spare bedroom in one of the roughest parts in town, to then creating a dream shopfront academy, but then realising that the dream she chased wasn't the whole story. This episode is about bravery, about impulsivity as power, about obsession, ego, burnout, and rebuilding something healthier, and about discovering that sometimes the thing that you think you want isn't the thing that will fulfill you. So whether you're in your proving phase, your growth phase, or your stripping it all back phase, this conversation will resonate with you. Hello, Carrie. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. As you know, we are covering the story behind the artist.
Yes.
This today is not about polished reels and technique and all of that kind of stuff. This is about your story, about the real you, how you built your business to what it is, but who you are as a person.
Okay.
So, having said that, I would like to start with you telling me a little bit about younger Carrie. Who was she? What was she like? Tell me everything.
Cool, you're taking it right back. So childhood then, I think this might surprise a lot of people, but I was such a tomboy.
Really?
Yeah, such a tomboy. Super creative, loved art, which totally makes sense now.
Yeah.
And was quite sporty. I was always outdoors, out on my skateboard, rollerblades, playing in the park. And yeah, I was a little bit shy, I would say, when I was a child, but definitely tomboy.
Yeah. Oh, that does surprise me. But I was a real tomboy as well. And people get surprised by that as well. And I think, but when you know it, you still feel it, don't you? And it's not really,
It's not a surprise.
It's not a surprise, but yeah.
It feels different.
So do you like wearing your tracksuits at home? And
oh my God, I live in them. Literally live for the comfort.
Yeah.
I mean, of course we like to get dressed up and go out, but absolutely, I feel like comfort is key.
Yeah, definitely. What were you like at school? How did you get on at school? I know you said you liked art and sports, but
yeah, God, that feels like it feels like a lifetime ago. School, like I think school, like most people, you know, you have your friends that you fit in with, and I think, well, I might be speaking for a lot of people here, but I look back and I just think, oh my God, what an idiot. Like, not in the sense of doing anything bad or, you know, horrible, but I think you're just trying to find out who you are, where you fit in, who your friends are, what type of person you want to be. And I look back now and at some of like the experiences and how, you know, you behave at school, but again, everyone's just trying to, I guess, find their person, see where they fit in.
How did you get on academically at school?
Academically, I was mid everything, apart from art and PE, which I'm probably sure will surprise a lot of people, because I'm just not sporty at all now. But I think academically, I was just average, nothing special. Nothing special at all, really.
But you got on okay at school? You got through school?
Yeah, I didn't find... I never had, like, big groups of friends. I never had, like, big girl group friends. That was kind of never my thing. I had a close few people, got on with boys, got on with girls. But really, I would say just mid everything academically.
And how did you, as a child, view life and, like, your future? Because I read that you once asked your mum about what is life and what is going to happen as you get older, and it struck me that you were quite inquisitive about that as a child?
Yeah, I think I was quite confused when I was young, because it's presented to a lot of us, you know, you go to school, if you're super clever, you go to university, and that is where, you know, you'll do well in life and you'll be successful.
Yeah.
For me, I just never fitted into that narrative at all. I left school, I'd done sixth form, and then I dropped out of early college because, again, it just wasn't the right fit. But I do remember speaking to my mum about it, because my sister, she always knew she wanted to be a teacher, so that was her path. But for me, I was always quite lost in what I was good at, what was going to happen in the future. And then I remember speaking to my mum about it, and she was like, well, you just work your way up. You find a job that you like, and then you work your way up to manager. You work your way kind of up the ladder. And I remember saying to her, but then what? Like, that, what if that's not enough? And I just remember thinking, oh my God, am I going to be in like an office and then get to like a manager point, and then that's it? Like, that is the peak of life. But to me, I just thought there must be so much more than this. Like, surely this whole 9 to 5 grind, like, just felt wrong. But it makes so much sense now as to why I felt like that. I think I was always destined to work for myself, but I didn't know that that was really even an option when you're kind of going through school, or, you know, even being told about it. It just wasn't really something you really talked about.
It's fascinating, because what do you think made you like that? Why do you think you had those questions? Was there anything that you saw or observed in life, or do you think that was just there in you naturally?
I don't know, but I do remember, when I think back now, I do giggle, because I just think, well, my brother-in-law, he used to call me Del Boy, which makes me laugh now.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was younger, like, I always used to get me and one of my siblings to, like, go out, and we'd like wash cars, and for like, I don't know, 50p, and I'd pay them 10p to do the work, and then I'd take the rest. And then we'd do, what else did I do? We'd do like lemonade stalls, or like little boot fairs, or face painting. And I always remember wanting to create something and then benefit from it money wise. And I think when I was younger, it didn't make sense. It was just a bit of fun. But now, as I've got older and I look back, I think, brilliant, that's hilarious.
And I just think it's so true when you really kind of like look back at how you were as a child. I think there's something within some children, isn't there, that is almost that entrepreneurial spirit that is there kind of from the start. And when I read that, I thought, like, that was obviously clearly there for you, because you were questioning already, whereas we're all shaped into this box of, like, you go to school, you come out of school, you either go uni or you go to college, and you get a job, and then, like you said, you work yourself up the ladder.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, for some people, they know from very young that's not an option.
Yeah, and I think it's so true what you say. Like, I think in schools now, I mean, I don't know, but I feel like entrepreneurship and having your own business is so much more normalised now. I think mostly because of social media.
Yeah.
But you just didn't know the options or the possibilities. Like, at school, we'd have talks about university and stuff like that. And I just remember thinking, God, I'd just never be good enough for university, or like clever enough, or get enough enjoyment out of it. But I do remember always thinking, I want to do something for myself, but I'm just not sure how, what, when, or why.
It's so sad, isn't it, that, like, I like to think that it's quite different now in school, but that for so many people, feeling that I wouldn't be good enough to be able to go to uni, or I wouldn't be good enough to do that job, how much of an impact that has. And for you, obviously, that's been super positive. But for some people, it can be really negative, because you just feel like you don't fit in. But actually, it's just a different way of thinking that is just as powerful.
Yeah, it's so true. And, you know, everyone's destined for a different path. And I think what we define as success is so individual. Like, some people's idea of success is having a family young and having a slower paced life, where other people, they might want to climb the ladder and that's, you know, incredible for them. So it is really hard to define that. But I do think things are changing now, like with what social media has kind of grown into. Hopefully people can see more of what's possible.
And I think for, you know, the relevance of this podcast being within this industry, it's really nice to hear that, because there'll be so many people listening to this that are either starting out or they're still trying to find their feet in this industry and in this business, but actually knowing that they've got that gut feeling that they want to do something that is led by themselves. It's really important to follow that, isn't it? Because without that...
Absolutely, and just be curious. Like, you know, if something sparks your attention, like, explore it and don't be afraid, and don't always just think of the monetary value. Like, of course, yes, that is important because you want to be comfortable and, you know, we all need to live, but ultimately, if you have a passion for something, the money will always come, regardless.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the value that you bring, isn't it, through what you do that gives you that return.
Absolutely.
So really, you were always kind of looking for that early independence, especially by, like, going out washing cars, making some money. Because you left home, didn't you, when you were quite young?
Yeah, so I chose to leave home when I was 15, 16. And I think at the time I was quite naive to what was going to come after. But yeah, that was a choice and I wouldn't change it now.
And because that's such a young age, isn't it? I left home when I was 18, and I think, oh my God, I was a baby, and I was like, I was pregnant and had my baby, so it was like trying to do all those kind of things and be an adult and all that. But 15, 16 is such a young age, isn't it? So tell me what that was like, going out on your own and having to have that kind of independence, find somewhere to live, have money, pay your bills, etc.
It was... my God, it was a whole whirlwind. And I think initially when, you know, you say that out loud, it's quite surprising. And you'd think, like, I think of, you know, my siblings at the age of 15, 16, and I could never dream of them doing that, like, imagine at all. But I think at the time I chose to leave home due to a certain circumstance and decided to put myself first, which was the complete right decision for me.
Yeah.
It was so scary, and I think I learned so much at such a young age, but what that did teach me is independence. It taught me that I can stand on my own 2 feet, and yes, times were rough, and, you know, my God, I was dirt poor at one point, you know, couldn't really afford food or basic necessities, not all the time, but there was points where it was heavy. But ultimately, I know that's grown me as a person, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And the support system that I had with my sister was incredible. And, you know, we've got such a special bond now. Like, my God, when we was younger, we hated each other, like most siblings, but now she is my best friend, and she is my home, and I couldn't do life without her. But to take it back to your question, I can't remember what you said. Being honest. Sorry.
That's okay. It was about you having what that was like, but what I was going to say from that is, like you said, it's made you who you are. What lessons and values do you think you took from that you then it comes out in the person you are today, especially as a businesswoman?
Okay, so yeah, I guess you just have to learn life skills. I was so naive to what it was going to be like. Like, I made my decision and I was very headstrong about it, and there was going to be no one that was going to change my mind. And I stepped into it. I think I was like working part-time still at school / sixth form. So money was obviously very minimal. But I was very naive to paying bills like water bills, gas, electric, and I remember trying to balance it all, and it just didn't work. Like, I think for years I was in that cycle of chasing my tail, trying to learn and understand actually what goes into, you know, living on your own and being independent. And I definitely made so many mistakes. Like, my late teens, early 20s, I think I just spent money in wrong places. Like, you know, you want to go out, you want to spend times with your friends. So I definitely spend money on that rather than the water bill or the electric bill, even food sometimes. But I think out of everything, it told me that, you know, you can rely on yourself no matter what situation you're in. It's you can build that strength and rely on yourself. And I think, you know, when you think, oh, I'm at a low point, or, you know, I don't want to say victim mentality, but I do think I put myself in that for quite a few years, when actually there's so much beauty that can come from those situations.
Yeah.
Like, the lessons that I've learned, that I truly don't think I would be the same person as that I am now, and have the empathy that I have for other people and, you know, other circumstances and situations. And I'm so bloody grateful to have the family unit that I have now and my partner, because I think at times like that, those are the people that really bring you up, for sure.
100%.
But ultimately, it just builds strength, resilience, and
I always say, I think in the places where there's the greatest struggle, you find the most amount of strength. And I think, that's a real struggle, isn't it? And like you said, you just did it, you got on with it. But actually, you know, like when I think of my children, I mean, my oldest children are like, how old are they? 18 and 19 now. But, you know, I think like they weren't 15, 16 that long ago. And, you know, they're still not capable to live by themselves, you know, like, but well, they are, but you think, no, they still need you, they still need support, they still need help. So I think, for you to do that is amazing. And do you think from that you also learn a lot about problem solving?
Do you know what? I'd love to say yes, but I don't think I actually took it all in or digested it until, like, being honest, my mid-20s. Like, I think I was just caught in the cycle. A lot of the time I just got on with it, and I thought this is just the way life was going to be. And I'd like to say that I did, but I don't think I did. I don't think I digested it all at the time.
Because when I look at you and the businesswoman you are today, I think you have such an ability to solve problems. And I wonder, from like reading your story, like how much of that came from that. And maybe you didn't realise it at the time, but, you know, thinking about, I've got to balance water bills and feeding myself. And was your sister younger than you that moved out with you?
Older. She was
okay.
2 years older,
so, but there's still two of you that you've got to kind of manage and look after and do things for. And I just think, I just wondered when I read that, I thought, you know, you really do have that ability to be able to look at a problem and see straight through it. Whereas a lot of people look at a problem, including myself, and then think, oh my gosh, like I will work it out, but I don't see through it. I just am like, right, I've got this problem. How am I going to get around it? But sometimes it's overwhelming. Whereas I feel like you kind of thrive in, like, there's a problem. How could you do it differently? Yeah.
Do you know what? I love that I give that impression. I don't know. I just haven't really thought about it. I think I just get on with it and move through it. Like, I think my personality has always been, like, I never bury my head in the sand. Like, even like, you know, if there's an issue or a problem with someone, I would always much rather have the awkward conversation and then move through it and get on with it. So potentially, I guess I just work my way through.
Because you had a huge problem, didn't you, when you then eventually got your first salon?
Oh, yeah.
I'm jumping forward a little bit. We'll go back a little bit as well. But I think it's really relevant to what we're talking about, because I think a lot of people would have run away screaming in that situation. So tell me a little bit about when you opened was it your first salon?
Second,
It was second, yes. But it was your big kind
big
of
move,
big move, yeah.
So the space where I'm in now, the academy shop front that I'm in now, that had been my dream for years. Like since I started PMU, like I started in my tiny little box bedroom and turned that into my little studio space. We lived in the roughest part of my town, and oh my God, I remember like putting on my pinny and trying to act all professional for my clients. And actually I bought like a second-hand creaky beauty bed because that's all I could afford. It barely fit in the room, so I used to have to like squeeze around it to get to my clients. But I do remember from that moment and really becoming obsessed with PMU and seeing the opportunities that, okay, this could really be something special. Like this could be a game changer for my whole life. I remember starting at that point, but then almost like making a promise to myself that this is going to be the thing. I want to be a success at this, and I'm going to have my own shop front one day, my own academy, and it's going to be shiny, it's going to be white, it's going to be beautiful, and I'm going to be so blimmin' proud once I get it.
Was that from when you you felt that from the minute you started doing permanent makeup?
Yeah, I'd say about a year in, okay, I would say, because I would watch other people on social media and I'd think, no, I can do this. Like, this is going to be what my life's purpose is. Like, I can make this something special. And, you know, we worked hard and I finally got to the point where that was a possibility. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, we've done it. Like, my dreams are literally come true. We got the shop from, we done a huge renovation on it. We done a huge renovation on it, and then halfway through we run out of money, which was just gut-wrenching. I think what we predicted it would cost, because this was like bricks and mortar, it wasn't like it was done. We had to like bring the ceilings in, build the rooms, like it was a whole new project. But we got it, we signed the lease, which was like 5 years, and then halfway through the renovation we run out of money, and I was like, what am I going to do? And yeah, it was so stressful. But at that point, I remember sitting down, and we couldn't get a loan or anything. And I remember sitting down with my partner, Kane, and he was just like, Carrie, like, we can't afford it. There's nothing left. Like, what are we going to do? And I just sat there and I thought, no, like, I've worked too hard to get to this point and this be the end. Like, there's just not a chance in hell that we're not going to get through with this. So I worked extra hard, booked as many people as I could in, got the students in, and we managed to just about make it to get into the shop, like literally by the skin of our teeth.
Wow.
We was going to lose everything. And I think on the outside it looked so shiny, and it was this big celebratory moment because I made it look like that. And of course no one wants to, you know, air their dirty laundry, but I was so obsessed with making it look like the happy ending, I guess, that I definitely wasn't truthful about it. But from the outside looking in, it looked like every person's dream, but behind the scenes it was falling apart, but we managed to get there in the end.
I think that's so brave of you to talk about that, and I think it will be so inspiring for people, because that is the reality, and this is what I want this podcast to be, is actually the real rawness of what we go through that we don't necessarily show on social media. And that, like you said, you kind of think, well, people don't want to know the hard stuff, but actually sometimes that's what spurs others on, isn't it? Knowing that, okay, it can be tough. And the golden nugget in that is that you made a decision halfway through to be like, I don't care, whatever happens, I'm going to get to the finish line with this. Yeah.
And do you know what? Someone like on Kane's part of the side of the family, they offered to pay for the rest of what we needed, which was, you know, my God, I could never even dream of that. But I said no, because I was like, this is something I have to do on my own. And even if it took us, you know, however much longer, I had to almost prove something for myself in that moment. But, you know, I think we all make such a good job of making everything look so shiny and perfect. on social media, and I've definitely been one of those people, but ultimately that's not life. And you're so right in what you're saying. Like, sometimes sharing your truth, and there's power in that, there's inspiration in that, and that is the reality. So if you're going through something similar, don't be scared to share your truth, to reach out for comfort, whatever it is, because ultimately I think it builds you as a person, and vulnerability, it's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think exactly what you said is like nothing, what's that saying? Like, nothing worth it ever comes easy. What is that saying?
Nothing, I know what you mean. Yeah. that one.
Nothing worth having comes easy.
There you go.
And it is one of those things where we just see people's end point, don't we? We see, okay, and actually we don't pay attention to people when they're struggling.
Yeah,
we don't pay attention when they're grafting and they're, begging for clients, begging for someone to give them a chance. So we don't pay attention, and then all of a sudden it looks like you've just gone from 0 to 100.
Yeah. When
the truth is anything but that. You've had to squeeze round your bed just to
fit a
client in. I was talking to Alice on the podcast, and she was saying about how she had to cover the boiler when the people came in, and just stuff like that. That's the real truth behind building a business from scratch into something that then at the end looks super shiny and super nice.
It is, and it comes off so inspiring. Like, when I've heard other people's story, it almost lights a fire inside of me, and I'm like, oh my God, okay, so that is normal to feel like that. And actually seeing people's journeys, it can be so beautiful.
Yeah, I think it really is so valuable to people to hear those things, because it's like having like you said earlier, you said about how when you first started you watched other people and you looked at what they had and what they'd achieved. And that's why having people to aspire to is super important, because that's what gives you the vision, doesn't it? That's what you had. You had a vision.
It sets the bar almost, I think, of what's achievable and what's possible.
And that vision wouldn't... You wouldn't fight for that vision unless that was already there.
Yeah.
You have to have that motivation, don't you, to fight.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, like you said, it would have been easier to just give up and be like, we haven't got the money.
Yeah.
So we just stop.
Game time, we're done.
Yeah.
Back to the old space, back to the bedroom.
Oh, bless you. Thank you for sharing that. So tell us a little bit about Kane, because he sounds like he's quite a strong person in your life that's kind of keeping you, or kept you kind of in that flow of what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kane is my partner, my fiance, and how long have we been together? Like 14 years.
Oh, wow.
So we met super young, like around about 18, 19 we met. And do you know what? I feel bad, because when I first met Kane, it was the classic, like, met on a night out, like drinks and stuff. But when I first met Kane and we connected, we kind of went to see how it went. But I feel like I was a different person. I was quite cold, I was quite standoffish, and I was guarded, I guess, from previous experiences. But he is my person. Like, I think like anything, over time, the right people soften you, they break down your walls, and you can really trust someone. Like, you just have that feeling. And I didn't have that with a lot of people from past experiences, and he just changed everything for me. Like, it sounds so cheesy, and I'm honestly not a soppy person, but he is my person, and he has been such a he's just been such a rock through this whole experience. And don't get me wrong, we are completely different in personalities. Like, he is so hypo, full of energy, but he is also Mr. Safety, tech man, whereas I'm more chill, relaxed, creative, go with the flow. But yeah, he's amazing.
That must have been hard. Do you think you struggled with that in the beginning, with letting him in and kind of softening, like you said, because of what you'd been through, having to be so independent and having to do things by yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I truly believed, and this sounds like I'm lying, but I'm not, I truly didn't believe in like love and you can fully trust someone. But it is true in what they say, like when you find your person, like everything changes. And over time he did break down my walls, and you know, I softened, and as much as I didn't want to, I did soften, and through everything he's just been amazing. Like I couldn't have asked for anyone better.
Has he helped you a lot with your business?
Yeah, he's always been my inspo. Like when I done my first client, my PMU client, microblading, God, it went tragically wrong. It was, I was so anxious, and I remember sitting there looking down at this client thinking, well, she was my friend, thank God. But I remember looking down and thinking, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. But I was like, right, just go with it. I ended up completing one microbladed eyebrow, and then I just froze, and I think I had a panic attack. Like, I don't suffer with panic attacks, but I just remember feeling like almost blind at that point. And I remember saying to her, I was like, I think I'm going to have to pause. And she was like, what? And I was like, I just need a moment. And then after, I was shaking. I was like, I can't continue. And I was so lucky because she's so chill. She was like, it's fine. She went, I can come back in the morning. You can do the other one. And I was like, please. And I was like, oh my God. And then I remember going downstairs, and Kane was like, so how did it go? And I was just like, oh my God, it was awful. And I just burst out crying, and he gave me a hug. And I was called, it makes me cringe now, but I was called Boss Brows at the time, my business name.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he just made a joke of it, and he was like, oh, you're gonna have to change your name to Boss Brow now instead of Boss Brows. And I was just like, this is really not the moment. And I was like, I'm gonna give it up, like this just isn't for me, like I'm not meant to do this. And he was just like, Carrie, you can't give it up, like that one brow, that looks so good, like how can you give it up? And it didn't, guys. Like I look back at it, it was not good at all. But he plain face lied to me to help me to get me through and to continue. Yeah. So from the start, he's always been there. And I think more over the last, since we moved in the shop, which has been like 3 years now, we've done it together. Like he is the tech man, he does behind the scenes, he does all of the foundations, and I'm more of the face of it now, whereas previously it was me completely. And I found it hard when he first started helping, because you know, you have your ways, you know things that work, and when someone comes in and tries to intervene, I found it really hard to kind of release that control. And you know, we fought a lot, well, not fought, but we bickered a lot over a lot of things, business-wise. But actually, I've learned so much from him, and he has helped so much. And when the business has gone up or down, like he is there, he is the foundation. And he's definitely excelled the business over the last few years. Like I truly wouldn't have been able to do it without him.
It was so nice. And it is so hard, isn't it, working together, and especially, again, because you're so used to so much independence. Like you said, letting up that independence and that autonomy is quite tough, isn't it?
It is. And you know, when you're set in your ways and you know what works, you don't want to change it.
Do you think that's important, to be able to change and be adaptable?
Absolutely. Like I think if we look back at the industry even a few years ago, it was so different, like completely different now. Even social media has taken such a turn, and what worked then certainly doesn't work now. Like I'm lucky enough to coach PMU educators and help support their businesses, and I coach so many women PMU educators where their work is fantastic, like stunning work, but they're struggling to get student bookings. And it's not because their work isn't good enough, it's because social media has changed, business has changed, strategy has changed, and they need help with that side of things. And a lot of the time, the problem is that they're set in their ways and they're used to what used to work, but unfortunately that doesn't now. So you have to be adaptable, and you have to, also still follow your spark.
Have you ever experienced that yourself, having to pivot and having to be adaptable? You mentioned that you had with Kane, but in any other circumstance with your business, have you had to do that?
Oh my God, yeah. And it was very humbling. So a few years ago, about 3 years ago, it wasn't long after I'd moved into the shop where I'm now, the shop front, the Dream One. And I had built my whole business, so training courses, clients, social media, essentially, all around ombre brows. Obviously, that was the thing, that was the trend, that was what was going wild. And I thought I nailed it pretty good, and I felt really comfortable and happy with where the business was at. And then out of nowhere, the industry took a shift and lip blush was the new thing. Everyone was training in it, everyone wanted it, except me, because I'd done a course and I just didn't feel good enough. Like, my skill was not where it needed to be to do clients, let alone to teach people. I need to do a lot more work on that and learn a lot more. But ultimately what happened is, because the industry took a shift, what I built my business around, people didn't want anymore. So my bookings dropped client-wise, as well as students. And I'd probably say 80% of our business relied on the academy.
Right.
We had just tripled our bills with the premises. We'd spent all of our comfort pot. We had staff, and it was scary. I remember sitting there and thinking, oh my God, we're doing this again. Like, it was a scary place to be. And I'd not long signed a lease for at least 5 years. And I remember sitting down and I was like, okay, industry's changed. I'm not ready to step into lip blush yet. Yes, I can still practice behind the scenes, but I won't teach something that I'm not super confident in, or transfer that skill. Like, I just won't do it. But it just kept going on. The bills kept getting higher. Our bank balance was getting lower. The stress was rising. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to lose everything. It is going to be so embarrassing. And what are we going to do? And Kane as well, he had not long left his job to come and help with the business. So everything was on the line. And I just remember sitting down and thinking, right, what am I going to do here? Because it's not an option to start stepping into lip blush yet. That doesn't align with what I need to do. So I thought, right, the industry's taken a shift. I need to learn business properly.
Okay.
I need to learn social media. I need to learn how to sell, because ombre brows are still beautiful. People still want ombre brows now. They're just not as popular. And I thought, I need to adjust the way I do business, the way that I show up, because ultimately I know what I'm good at and I know what I can teach. It's just, it wasn't the most popular thing at the time. So I went all in. I learned social media, I learned strategy, I learned the proper way. And it was fascinating, but also really humbling at the same time. Like, I think I needed that. Like, I got very comfortable. And I thought that's the way it was always going to be. But, life changes, things change. I went all in, and within about 8 to 10 weeks, we turned the whole thing around. I continued to sell my courses, didn't change any of the layout of that. It was just the presentation and how I run the business to support that.
Wow.
So yeah, it was
that's a really short time frame to be able to do that in as well.
Yeah, it was surprising, but in all honesty, Lara, I didn't have any other choice. I was like, we've just got to go for it.
But this is what I mean, like, you see through problems. I think you really do have that ability to be like, there's a problem there, I'm going to see through it. I can imagine it feels horrific.
Yeah.
and terrifying, just like it does for everybody else. But you're so good at doing that pivoting and finding a way through, and I think that's what makes you such an incredible coach as well, because that's what we need a lot of the time, especially, I don't know if you agree, but in our industry we are hyper focused on the skill, which is super important, but we often neglect that business side. Business involves problem solving, it involves pivoting, it involves being adaptable, it involves being able to sell anything and find a way to sell it, and how to change narratives so that they become valuable to people. And I think that's what you've got a real gift of being able to do.
Thank you. That's really sweet. It's but I totally agree with you. I think, previously it was enough to really learn your craft and perfect your skill, and we just expect that as long as I put all of my love, attention and passion into the actual technique and PMU, then everything else will just follow suit. And I'll get clients, and if you have an academy, then I'll get students as well, because I've worked so hard at my skill, or so hard at making my courses the best they can be for my students. But there is that disconnect between the skill and how it's sold and the marketing side, and I definitely didn't realise that until a few years ago. I thought the skill was enough, and posting a before and after photo and being accredited and things, I thought of course that's going to be enough, but it's really not.
And you've spoken before about how you kind of got to a really good point in your career, but then you felt like it wasn't exactly what you wanted, or tell me a bit about that. What did that feel like? When did that happen, and what did that feel like?
So I think because of where I started, the dream and the goal was to have my own shop front, have my own academy, this big beautiful space, and build something of my own that I'm super proud of. And I think I had tunnel vision, like there was going to be nothing that was going to get in my way or stop me. Like that was going to become my reality at some point. And I was so obsessed with achieving that. And also I was really obsessed with social media, validation, getting people's approval. Like I think when I posted content, it wasn't for me. It was for me, but I cared more about the likes, the follows, the engagement and people praising my work, rather than actually pausing and thinking, is this what I want to do? Is this actually what makes me happy and what lights me up? And obviously we got to a point where I got the shop front and the academy, and I thought, oh my God, this is going to be like the dream moment that I've always been waiting for. And being honest, I was happy, kind of, and I think, but I was waiting for that proud moment. I was waiting for that celebration moment of, oh, I've made it, like I've done myself proud, but that never come. And I think the more I got into it, and the more stakes that were on the line with the higher bills and the staff, and being within that, building that business that had more responsibility, essentially, I just felt so unaligned. Something didn't fit, something wasn't right. And I remember searching, thinking, right, well, I'll add a new PMU technique, or, maybe I'm just a bit bored, so maybe I just need to learn, freshen up my skills, or, bring another staff member in, or make more money, like whatever it is. But actually, the bones of it is that that didn't make me happy, that didn't light me up. I was so obsessed with achieving the end goal that I didn't realise actually it's not what I wanted. I think I look back now and I was focusing on the wrong things, because when I achieved it, it was lovely, but it didn't make me happy.
What do you think you were searching?
I think I realised that from a creative side, I am obsessed with social media, as in the creative form of social media. Like, I love, like, when I had a client, and it makes so much sense now, like, I love PMU, but I was more excited about taking the content, getting a model in, and that part of the process. And I think as well, I love helping other women see what they're capable of business-wise. Like, I have a coaching business now where I coach PMU educators to grow their business. And for me, that's my spark. Like, when they message me and they've realised what they're capable of, and, you know, we've tweaked a few things and they've ended up achieving it, that is my purpose. Like, I get more excited over that than having the staff and the clients. Like, my purpose is definitely moving more online, helping women in business achieve and see what they're capable of, and social media side for sure.
I definitely see that in you. I think you do have that ability to see what gifts other people have and how you can pull that out of them. And that's what it is really, isn't it? When you create a business, whatever the business is, it's the niche is what you bring to the table, isn't it? Rather than necessarily the product or the service or whatever it is. It's actually what you bring to the table. So when you can bring that out of somebody, that's really, that's powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely something special.
Would you say that at points you were maybe more focused on proving yourself to other people, as opposed to now it's much more about using the gifts that you have and the value that you bring to people and seeing that individual thriving rather than thinking about what other people think of your success?
Yeah, I think totally. It's I think because of past experiences and like home life and stuff, there was something that always stuck in my mind of what someone has said, basically about being a failure, and that I think fueled a lot of my journey and fueled a lot of the reason why I was so hungry to be successful and got so obsessed over that end point, because I was so obsessed with proving them wrong and showing that I was worthy and I could be something, and getting approval that I wasn't listening to my heart and what I wanted. And don't get me wrong, like, it's definitely not a mistake stepping into the world of PMU. Like, it's changed my life and I'm so utterly grateful. And I was obsessed with treatments for so long, and it lit me up and it's shown me what is capable. But I think I focus my energy on proving people wrong rather than listening to my heart and what I actually love and what's aligned for me. Like I said previously, I was more focused on the likes, the follows, growing the social media, that validation, that frontline empty validation, rather than my purpose. And I see that now, and I totally understand why, and it's so easy to get caught up in. Like, when I teach with my students and even my ladies that I coach in my program, like, you know, if their engagement goes down or if they lose followers or whatever it is, or I have to remind them, look, that isn't the purpose, and you're not here to be to get likes from people. You're here to change your life. You're here to make your clients happy and step into the best version of you.
I think anyone listening to this will relate to that massively, because we all, at the end of the day, there's in all of us, there's that part that wants to be recognised as worthy and valuable, and often the reason we don't want to make mistakes is because we were talking about this earlier, because we don't want to make mistakes because really it's that people are watching.
Yeah.
It's not so much making the mistake and then having to work out the solution. It's the fact that other people are watching and see you fail. But it's when you get to this point that you're at now that you can look back and be like, all of my mistakes, all of my failures, all of the things that I had to learn from were fundamental in me getting to this point in my journey.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you're going through it, isn't it? But I think there'll be so many people listening to this that will be going through that stage. So I think to hear that is amazing, and to hear that you don't need to hold anybody's opinion of you as important.
Yeah, it's so true. And like my socials now, like they're so different to what they were a few years ago, and the engagement, my God, where I was obsessed with it previously, it was a lot higher than what it is now. But I'm so much more happier now and okay with it now, because I'm not like hungry for it, or you know, if a post went up and it didn't get the reaction that I wanted, like it used to hit me before and I used to be disappointed, whereas now I see it more as it's just a system, it's just a part of a business. Like this business feeds my family, this business is our safety net, so it's more systemized and has its function, its purpose, rather than looking for praise from people. But it's so easy to get wrapped up in that, especially in social media world. But you just got to remember it's a lot of it isn't real.
Yeah.
A lot of it isn't real.
And I think people are realising that now, that, you know, just because you've got 1,000 likes doesn't mean that you're getting any business. Whereas
so true.
Some people that are getting 5 likes are, those 5 people have bought that service or that product.
It's so true. It is so true. And put a speaker on that, because I think like with the ladies that I teach as well in the academy, my students, if they don't have a certain amount of likes, they'll hide it or they'll shy away from it, or even bring down the posts. And I'm like, absolutely not. Like that post, you might not have got 30 likes or whatever you were looking for, but measure the success of that post through inquiries, through bookings, like through 5-star reviews from your clients. That's what you want to be putting your energy into, rather than the surface level of social media.
And also just your development, isn't it? It's a catalogue of your work. It's a portfolio that you're building up, that anyone could go back and have a look through, whether it's got 2 likes or 200 likes. It is part of your journey, isn't it? And we need to try and embrace that more and understand that. I remember this really wise lady speaking to me once when I was doing my psychology degree, and I did my degree with the Open University, so I did it from home.
Wow. And
the way that the Open University function is you have your assignments and you have your exams, and 50% of your mark is whatever you get in your exams, and whatever you get in your assignments, they give you the lowest grade.
Right.
So whereas like a conventional university, you would get 50% would be your exam, 50% would be, you would just get the lowest grade. So I could not do exams to save my life. My assignments, I'd get really good marks, and then my exams, I would just get so low. So my overall mark was being predicted. I was like, I wasn't even going to pass because my exam was so low. And I remember this woman talking to this woman, I was feeling really down one day. She was one of the mums on the school run, and I was talking with her, and she just said, what are you doing the degree for? And I was like, well, because I had an auntie that had suffered with severe mental health, and I was really doing it so I could understand more about psychology. And she was like, well, that's the reason that you're doing it. It's not about what mark you get or what grade you get. It's about the value that you take from that education and what you do with it as a person and how you help others. And that stayed with me always. And I think the same with social media. We can get, like you said, so sucked into that. But what value are you giving to others by what you post and what you share? And certainly, like, you know, for yourself, sharing that kind of message to people, that it's more about what you're doing with the work that you're trying to create, that is more purposeful than anything looking shiny or looking beautiful.
Absolutely. It's so true. Yeah. So true.
Amazing. So now that you are at the point where I feel you, from what you said, you're at that point where you feel like everything you were doing is for yourself and for your business and for your family, for you and Kane. You don't feel that need to prove anything to anybody else. what's the future for Carrie now? What is your path that you see yourself going on? And obviously it's always going to change, but
that's such a good question. God, what's the future? I mean, it's been a wild ride. Like 10 years I've been in the industry now, and I think exactly like you say, a lot of the time, well, what's happened in my experience anyway, what I thought I wanted actually is completely different. And I've just been sitting more with my emotions over the last few years, and obviously I'm a lot older now, so hopefully a little bit wiser. But future-wise, I think it is helping more women with their businesses. Like, that is where I thrive. That's where I get my fire, because I know there's such a missing gap with what people are creating, i.e. PMU wise, and they need that help with their business. Like, for me, I'm hoping that I can help more women and be that solution where they can grow their business to the next level within the PMU industry. But for me, I am going to be closing my shop, my academy.
Are you?
Yeah, I've made the decision. I am hoping it will be in the next few months.
Okay.
Or we'll see, in the next year anyway. I will be closing the shop. And do you know what? It was such a hard battle in my mind, because I was like, well, do I need the shop? It's almost like I'm giving up my identity or part of my identity, which, I struggled a lot with, I think, over the last few years, trying to understand why I wasn't happy, even though, the business seemed to be doing well. But I am going to be closing the shop, moving more online, focusing on helping other women grow their business, and stepping into more of the social media realm. Which is exciting.
That's so exciting.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. And that's, again, that being pivoting. Do you feel like this is a huge moment for you to pivot into?
Yeah, and do you know what? It actually feels good to say it out loud. Like, it's it almost feels unusual, or like I've cheated or doing something wrong, or like dirty in the industry, because I'm deciding to step away, even though the business functions so well. Like, the position it's in at the moment is, I'm so proud, I guess, but it's not giving that spark, it's not giving that love for me anymore. And when I help other women within their business, I know it's the right move. And I know so many PMU women and PMU educators, they just need that system, they need that help, they need that support. And I'm so excited to do that. And I don't need a shop to do that. Don't need a shop to do that.
Don't need all those overheads.
And exactly.
That's incredible, because you're right. I just think it's a very big missing piece for so many people. And permanent makeup is, like you said, it's something that, if you've been in the industry, we're all super grateful for what it's done for our lives.
Absolutely.
But often the struggle comes through not understanding the business side. When you understand both, that's when it can really flourish, isn't it?
It's a game changer. It really is. And, people create such incredible work. They just need that step to connect the business. So hopefully that's what we're moving into and can grow more of.
And if anyone was listening to this now and was thinking, I'm that person that I don't understand that connection between my skill and the business part, what one piece of advice would you give to them?
One piece of advice, I would say, a few pieces, is first things first, you need to put as much energy into the business side as the technique. I think a lot of the time we do these training courses and we think, right, once we've got the certificate, or I do loads of latex work, that the clients are just going to show up. Or, same with students, if I build a course that I put so much love into and I make the best manuals and the best class layout, and, I'm going to give my students the best support, you think people are just going to line up at the door. But unfortunately, as we know, that it doesn't happen. So put the energy into the business side. Don't be afraid of it. It can when you first start, you think it's going to be this big mountain and so overwhelming, but you just have to remember how you felt when you started PMU. It was new, it was alien, it was foreign, but if you can conquer that side of your business with the skill, you can conquer the other side as well. But social media is a key, like, absolutely. Forget about other people's opinions. You need to remember that you're paying your this is your business, you're supporting your family, so let go of what other people think, and just put as much energy into that side rather than just the PMU side.
That's amazing advice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And last question, if you could go back to Carrie being 16 years old.
Oh God, don't make me cry. Yeah.
When you were about to leave home and it was scary and it was frightening, what would you say to her now?
Sorry. I would say you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You are worthy regardless. Whether you take this path or you end up doing something completely different, it's not about other people, it's just about yourself. And that's it. Lara.
Sorry.
Please. Sorry.
Thank you. Because that is just so powerful, and you've done that. And I think 15-year-old Carrie would be super proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so sweet.